This is the biggest moment of the match.
Talk us through it, Nick.
You can cut the tension with a butter knife.
Very specific on the type of knife there.
I'm just saying it's that vulnerable.
A steak knife won't do.
No, a steak knife would be too much. Muchova, long, first serve. We let the tension settle. It's second serve. Muchova's bouncing the ball. Lifts it up. And she puts it in the net, and it's Iga Swiatek with her hands on her face. She's kneeling down as all the relief pours out of her. She's almost sobbing as she's on her knees on the Roland Garros clay. Well, not quite. She's on her haunches. And she's still crying. All of it's coming out. Iga Swiatek is a 3-time Roland Garros champion. She remains unbeaten in Grand Slam finals. What an effort from Karolina Muchova as they embrace. She comes to shake the umpire's hand. She's still crying. What a moment for this 22-year-old who is the best player in the world right now and thoroughly deserves it. And she's still on her haunches crying. And I can breathe.
I think that must mean a 26-2 record now in Paris. Am I right there, Nick?
In terms of, Korea, yes.
26-2. A lot of emotion there from Iga. And James, welcome aboard. I'll get your thoughts in a second. But a lot of emotion there from Iga at the conclusion. I don't know whether there's an added meaning, something else that's going on. But perhaps also, for me, my gut reaction was just that she was so close to losing it. Of course, with Karolina Muchova twice up a break in that that third set, including 4-3. And I'm just trying to remember how that 4-3 game went. I know the conclusion was very much that drop shot that didn't work out, but it went to at least deuce. So she was very close to holding serve, but was unable to do so. Jikler as well in the chat saying, congrats to Iga. Nice try, Muchova. That's nice from him. I don't know if he's Polish or not, but perhaps from that name he is. But for those of you just tuning in, we're going to now dissect that final. James, give us your immediate thoughts.
Well, I had to start by taking my hat off to Iga on that one there.
You prepared for that, didn't you?
Well, he wasn't wearing the hat throughout, and then he put it on at the last minute. And I thought, shall I bring him in with the hat on? Is that the idea? Or do I need to wait him? Am I going to bring him in? He goes, I didn't want to be with the hat on. But anyway, I guess that was all nicely set up. James, so tell us what you think.
That was probably one of the best wins Iga's had in terms of the 4 Grand Slams she now has picked up. That match had suspense, it had drama, but it also had doubt, which I think was the key, key point of that match, was that this wasn't just going to be a coronation. The last 2 finals, the one last year in the Roland Garros and the US Open last year, in a way, felt slightly like a coronation. The people she was playing, the way, the form that was coming into it. This time around, with all the trials and tribulations, the issues in Rome, certainly the build up around about the hardcourt swing, which wasn't like it was last year. There was doubt in this match. There was doubt in this tournament. It was no longer Iga versus the field. It was key members of that field versus Iga. And she's come out on top. She's shown her class. She's shown that competitive edge. And she's got the reward. And she is now a 3-time Roland Garros champion, 4-time Grand Slam champion. And all I can say is she absolutely 100% fully deserves it. And it's deeply upsetting, or you could certainly say, you feel very disappointed, or you can feel for Muchova in this one, certainly being 4-3 up, pretty much serving to make it 5-3. And to be honest, she probably would have broken Iga in that next service game if she was 5-3 up to actually take the title there. To be so close for Muchova, especially given how well she's played as well in this match and providing that doubt in this match, I have nothing but sympathy for Muchova, and she's going to take her a while to recover from this. But Muchova is showing, as a general point and looking at a more holistic approach, she's starting to show the form, the talent, the desire to be able to do it, to be able to be at the absolute top of the game and to start winning at the top of the game. And all I can hope is that her body holds up for her now, going into further competitions.
I think as well, James, as well, in terms of the doubt that she had, I think that's probably where that big emotional response came from, in that, of course, she was also up, a set and 3 love. So, you've got an upper set and 3 love. That lead slips, but actually that wasn't the end of that second set, because there were sort of swings, lots of swings in the second set. There were plenty of swings and perhaps even roundabouts, if there is such a term that you can use in tennis, in the third set. So perhaps all of that sort of tension as well came out in the emotion. She keeps her hat on as again, Nick, for this change of outfit. The hat perhaps is a permanent feature on her head. Anyway, permanent features on the face of Muchova right now is one of possibly anguish, possibly regret, possibly thoughts. She might be thinking about that drop shot.
She was 2 games away from it.
It's almost the worst type of loss, being so close and yet not making it. I feel this, like we've watched Grand Slam finals where, especially Iga has basically demolished her opponent, and at that point, your opponent can only go, well, I was clearly the second best player on the court, but there was a genuine chance for Muchova in this match to win this tournament, and she'll know that, and that will make it hurt more.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Iga, says the Hedgehog. I've never seen the Hedgehog in before, but great to have you on board. And if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. You know what? In just under a year of talking tennis, we've had about 500,000 views. If we had just 1% of those people subscribing, I think if I've done my maths right, we'd have 5,000 subscribers right now. So there's lots of people watching that have not subscribed to the channel. So please hit that subscribe button. Nick, I don't know if you've got anything to add to what James was saying.
I completely agree with everything James said. I will say it would have been a bad loss for both of them, whatever the outcome of this match, because Iga would have been a set and a breakup and in control. And if she'd lost, then that was a bad loss. Muchova being a breakup twice in the deciding set that's a tough loss. I'm looking at her now, and she played our heart out today. She played so well. She countered everything Swiatek threw at her, and then in the last, she was the one who was the more vulnerable at the most critical point of the match, which is the end. I really hope that we see Muchova consistently in this position. It would be such a shame if this was her only shot at a major. We can't really. Yeah. I don't want to do the thing of we'll see her here again. We cannot say that for sure. You never know. I want to see a big result for Karolina Muchova. If it has to come against Iga, I'll live with that. Today, Iga needs to make a point because she hadn't won a big title yet this year, and I think there would have been a lot of questions if she'd lost around her status as the world number 1. She'd be a lot more vulnerable. But I think today she confirmed herself as the new Queen of Paris in the shoes of Chris Evert, Steffi Graf, Justine Henin. And I think it's going to take a lot to bring her down from this position in future years. And I'm very excited to see what happens.
Let's not forget, we've got Vansh as well joining us now. It's becoming a huge party here, although I think his camera's off right now. Oh, there we go, the camera's on. But listen, let's not forget, Vansh, that there's been quite a few. I'm glad that Nick mentioned as well some of the questions regarding Iga, because this year has been very different to last, in that from about February until June last year, it was just win after win after win for Iga. This year's been very different. We saw her being very emotional in a loss to Jessica Pegula in Australia before going into the Australian Open. She then has a pretty comprehensive defeat to Rybakina, I think it was, in Australia. Am I right with that one, Vanch? And then we've seen other defeats this year, including another one to Rybakina, I think, in Indian Wells. And then most recently, of course, we've had 1 or 2 injury issues as well. So it wasn't a serene process up until the French Open, and maybe that's also one of the reasons why this will be a bit sweeter when we saw that emotion. Vanch, tell me either some of your reactions to what I've just said, or the match that we've just seen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of why she got so emotional at the end, because it just means so much. I mean, this was her first really big title since winning the U.S. Open. So Nick is kind of right in that, she kind of needed this in order to make a point and just kind of prove to herself that, yeah, I'm still the best in the world. This is now my 63rd week as consecutively as the world number one, and I've had to fend off many other rivals, including Sabalenka, Rybakina, Krejcikova a couple of times. You mentioned those couple of other losses as well, and she has struggled with that rib injury, for example, for a month. I mean, after Indian Wells, she didn't play in Miami, and then she also had the bit of injury concerns in Rome when she had to retire against Rybakina. So to come here, there were some question marks, and she still didn't drop a set, getting to the final. But the last two matches, she really had to fight tooth and nail for them, because stylistically, it's a pretty tough opponent, Muchova. I mean, kind of like Barty, she really capitalized, I think, on an area of Iga's game that probably needs to become a little bit more secure if she wants to continue her dominance. And that's, I guess, just finishing points at the net and just being able to put away those volleys, like with not necessarily the swing volleys, but just the ones that are a bit lower, a bit trickier, that only players like Muchova, in fairness, can really do to her with the kind of all court style that they possess. So I think it's a good lesson for her as well, because she really had to come back from a break twice in that third set, and she did a really good job of staying composed when it was really getting away from her. She was up 3-love in that second set, and all of a sudden Muchova's forehand became super aggressive, and she started reining in the margins quite a bit more and feeling like, okay, I've got the upper hand. And so it was up to Iga to make that adjustment, and I think she can be really proud of herself for that. And yeah, this is her third French Open in the last 4 that she's played, so it's pretty remarkable. Only 22 years old.
The kids are just bringing the trophies onto the court. We've got the main trophy, of course, for the winner. They're all looking at, well, 2 of the 3 kids are looking a little anxious, and they're walking on, but also gleefully as well, as they bring on the trophies for both the winner and the runner-up. There's a kid also holding the trophy or the plate, I should say, for the umpire. He doesn't look quite so interested. I think there were 3 plates to bring on, and he drew the short straw, let's say that, and he's got the one for the umpire. He looks like he'd rather be somewhere else, so he certainly did anyway. But anyway, jokes aside, James, give us a word on Muchova, either today or her tournament.
I would say Muchova can certainly look back on this tournament with an immense amount of pride. I know at the moment she won't be feeling that, and she'll be feeling a lot of pain at the moment. But give it, a few weeks, she can look back and go, "Oh, hang on a minute! I went from a situation where my body wasn't holding up to going 7 matches at a Grand Slam and seeing it all the way through to the end, and showing unbelievable levels of tennis. The people she's beaten: Sabalenka, Sakkari." I think there was another one. Some really strong opponents she's seen off on this surface, and there are certainly opportunities now looking ahead for Muchova in terms of tournaments where she could do very well at. I know that she's very good. She's very strong on hard courts, and that very much after the next month of the grass court, she can very much get her teeth into those tournaments and really start to sort of push herself back up the rankings. This is Chrissy Evert heading onto the stage at the moment. She can certainly sort of see herself pushing herself up on the rankings, and maybe even certainly based off this performance, we've got to put her down as a contender for the US Open as well, and as somebody who could do bits there, because I think the key thing that popped along here was an equal in a match. This wasn't a situation where there was clearly a favorite, a big favorite, and somebody who was there who felt a bit more like a plucky person that was trying to upset what was meant to be the written order. Muchova very much showed that she was an equal in that match. It wasn't one dominant side over another, and that's the key thing she can take away. That on another day, on another surface, she could very much convert those those break point up chances and get consolidate the breaks, and then start to win those titles and really be a thorn in Iga's side.
Everett there is going to be presenting the trophy. Of course, she's very much a legend of this sport. I'm just about to have a quick look to see how many Grand Slams Chrissy Evert win. Did she get into double figures?
She won 18.
Oh, wow. Beyond double fit. My goodness me, I'm way off.
7 of them French Opens.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, French Open, 74, 75, 79, 80, 83, 85, and 86. Those are
Just
years, by the way.
stuff.
Those are years, not the age that she was when she won them. That would be even more remarkable. But yes, 18 Grand Slams, including 7 French Opens, but a good spread as well, where she won 2 at least at each of the 4 slams. So she's going to be presenting the women's. I did see who was going to be presenting the men's tomorrow, but now that name escapes me. I forget who's going to be presenting the men's title tomorrow, but we'll soon find out. But that's for tomorrow. Vansh, though, I mean, Muchova, she'll have some regrets now. And there was a drop shot that I certainly spoke about for a few minutes on the live stream, because she went for the drop shot when she was facing breakpoint on her serve at 4-3. You know, I said that the winner of this point will probably go on to win the match, as in, like, if Iga gets back on serve, then suddenly, you know, the amount of chances that you know, you can't give Iga too many chances to get back into the match, if you like that. I just felt that a second time that Muchova would have relinquished the break advantage may well be too much. And I said, whoever wins this point will go on to win the match. And sadly for Muchova, there was a pretty horrible drop shot that I'm sure she will be thinking about again for a while to come, Vansh.
Yeah, she had a few points like that in the last 2 or 3 games where I felt like her shot selection was a bit more impatient and she was trying to finish points a bit too soon. That could be fatigue.
Maybe she was feeling it a bit. I don't know, from the other day as well.
Yeah. I think physically it had to have been a tough order. Like, she had to have been feeling it in the legs, because that semifinal with Sabalenka was extremely physical and one of the longest matches of the year. So it's not too much of a surprise if you look at it like that. Yeah, and I think she felt like the longer the rallies went, Iga was actually able to outlast her in those areas, and she wanted those rallies to be extended, whereas Muchova was trying to come up with some magic or finish off those points with a bit too much flair and stuff, and she was able to do that kind of early on. But I just think the weight of the moment kind of got to her in that situation. But understandable, really. But I think it was overall a super positive week. Like, she was ranked 43, I think, before when this tournament started. Now she's up to 16, and she's inside the top 5 of the race. So if she can stay healthy, I mean, we could be looking at a really, really good year.
Tears rolling down her cheeks now. She'd kept it together while she sat down and saw things going on before her, but tears rolling down her cheeks now. She said, it's been incredible. It's been an incredible couple of weeks. Congratulations.
It's always the moments that when you have to, when you feel you have to speak, that, you know, at the moment when she's able to sit down, she could go into her own little shell there for a moment and be able to keep it composed. But there's moments when everyone's got their center of attention on you, and you have to speak, are the worst when it comes to trying to hold in emotions. And
I think both Krisieva and I'm not sure who the official is to Chrissy's right. Does anyone know who that is? But he looks pretty emotional as well. I think we're all feeling a bit emotional just watching. Yeah, more thanks as well. Even Iga, of course, you know, showing a lot of compassion here, and I think everybody's feeling it a bit. I certainly am. Just because, I mean, it was so close, it was there, and that's the pity of it, if you like.
I think the critical points in the match that probably lost it, because looking at the stats, they were really close. They were so closely matched throughout that entire thing in terms of errors, in terms of positive points where they took control. What cost Muchova was the slow start and the tight end, and that's where it counted. Slow start, went down a set very quickly to Iga.
Yeah,
so not very quickly, but was.
I know what you mean. In terms of game,
from the start, and then the end, where at the end it ended up being Swiatek who was the better in the match closing moments and finishing the job. And I think it's a fine margin that made the difference today. And whilst we may not be comparing it in terms of like quality, in terms of like all-out battle, that other 3 matches have come up during the stream, like the Australian Open final, the Madrid final, the Muchova Sabalenka semi-final, this is going to end up being in the top 10 matches of the year still.
Yeah. I mean, listen, last year, my end of year show regarding matches of the year was dominated really by men's matches. There were so many memorable men's matches in 2022 for me. This year's been the opposite. It's been just full of classics on the women's side, as as you said, I mean, this will be it'll be up there. If this is not in my end of year show, then that means there's been an incredible year, which has already been incredible. But even going beyond that, and long may it continue. We've seen so many closely contested finals, so many dramatic moments, and so many moments of quality. Anyway, she's finally gathered it together, and listen, with these moments and these players, as Nick touched upon, and I think Vansh and James too. You hope that they'll be back. With some players, such as, say, Andy Murray, there was probably a bit more conviction that he would return and would eventually win a Grand Slam, but with everyone that he didn't get over the line with. With other players, I mean, I was there during the Jana Novotná story, if you like, of her getting to the 3 Wimbledon finals, and you just didn't know, and I'm really pleased that she did get over the line. Muchova, don't know. She's now going to be up there. Oh, Ons has just dropped the lid to the trophy. She should be pretty familiar with the makeup of that trophy. So I'm surprised that she forgot it had a lid, bearing in mind it's been on her mantelpiece for the best part of the last 3 years.
Yeah, just take it off. Just take it off, Iga. Take it off.
Yeah,
I mean, that's an emphatic trophy celebration right there.
Indeed.
It wouldn't be an Iga trophy celebration without a little bit of jeopardy.
Yeah,
She's so delightfully awkward.
Yeah.
And clumsy, and yet for a tennis player, you'd think awkwardness and clumsiness is probably not characteristics you really want to be taking onto a tennis court. Well, she breaks off the shackles when she's playing, but they soon return amongst lifting up trophies. Vansh, do you have any conviction that Muchova will be back and lifting one of these big trophies one day?
I think it's just about staying healthy, to be honest, because
True.
I think that would be my main caveat, because if she can stay healthy, I mean, there's no reason why she can't do really well at Wimbledon. She's made the quarterfinals there twice, and she has exactly the kind of game on grass that I think could take her to a title. So, and then now she's done pretty well in all the slams, really. So, and I think of her as a big match player in general, with all the big wins that she had. She's now 5-1 against top 3 players, which is really, really good for someone who's not ranked in that category because of injuries. So I do feel, and she's in the prime of her career. She's only 26, so she has a good, another 3 to 5 year spell if she can stay healthy. So I would say why not? Because there are going to be opportunities, but you just never know. Like with the landscape, the WTA could just kind of shift. But yeah, it's all about health, really.
Yeah, it's actually a point I'd forgotten about in the aftermath of this as I watch Iga giving her speech. She's talking basically directly to Muchova, albeit holding a microphone at the same time. Various platitudes going in the way of the Czech, and obviously deservedly so. Amelie Mauresmo there applauding too. She looked quite emotional at the end as well. I know just how important teams are, she says, and I assume she means tennis coaching staff, not Microsoft Teams. Anyway, her team give a good wave to the camera there, and they understandably look very, very happy. First win for her, of course, under her new sponsorship too. So I'll be pleased that she's justifying that.
Can I count this as a win for Federer? James, your expression, I'm being ridiculous. I'm being ridiculous. And I know I'm being ridiculous. I'm not.
I was only going to ask, Nick, are you on a fleece into this weather?
Yes, because I've got a draft right next to me.
Oh,
Okay.
So it's boiling at the moment.
It's pretty hot, yeah, in most places around Europe right now.
Sorry, I know it was a side note. I do apologize.
No, James, we love side notes. We've been living off side notes for 9 months. Most of our audience are here for the side notes. When we start talking about tennis, they switch off.
Most of the audience seem to be here hoping I'm going to sing.
Talking side notes. Vanch, give us a word on Iga's tournament and her performance in the final.
So yeah, I mean, her tournament overall, it was tough to really judge based on the first 3 or 4 rounds, I would say, just because it was plain sailing really and then she had retirement against Sorenko in the 4th round. But really after that, the last 3 matches that she played, we can take quite a bit against Goff, who actually put up a pretty good fight in relative to the other 6 matches that they played, and the overcoming the adversity in the second set against Beatrice Haddad Maya. So I think that was a big confidence boost. And then she started this final off really well, like you would expect. Muchova was the one with the nerves and the early tension, and she sort of capitalized on that and went up 6-2, 3 love. But then we saw her really kind of have to contend with an all court aggressive opponent who had found her mojo back. So I think it was impressive to see her kind of weather the storm in the third set when she was 2 breaks down. And Muchova, like you said, would certainly missed a few chances there to stretch her lead, particularly if she went up 5-3 instead of 4-all. That was a very, very key game. But the fact that Iga still managed to come through when in the past, she might have really, like, she's not used to sometimes dealing with this kind of adversity, and it not being that straightforward this time around makes this a lot sweeter, I think, for her, just knowing that she can win matches like this again, because she did start to turn that around a bit last year, but this year, when a few occasions haven't gone her way, she hasn't found herself back in a winning position so comfortably right away. So I think this in a way is probably the most fulfilling major that she's won, just because of that adversity.
That point, by the way, that became a narrative that sort of gathered pace this year regarding Iga either winning or winning comfortably or losing badly, as we looked at the sort of 4, 5, 6 defeats that she incurred in the early part of the year. That did annoy Iga, by the way. I was in a press conference in Madrid when she got asked about that. And you could see that she was very annoyed about the question. She said something along the lines, that's what you guys are talking about. It's not what, interests me or whatever. So she certainly changed that narrative today by winning. But not just today. She's actually won 2 or 3 really tight matches in the last few weeks. Because I remember at least another match where it was really close. Well, of course, she was really close with Sabalenka in the final, but that was at least the narrative was that she either wins easily or loses easily. It wasn't that she wasn't getting involved in super tight matches. Well, that Madrid final and the final today, and even to some extent the match with Rybakina in Rome, so shows that she's up for the fight, and she certainly was today, wasn't she, Nick?
Yeah. I would say so. Yeah, she's flipped the narrative on its head. She can win it out tough, and she's a fighter, far more of a fighter than we gave credit for. It's why I wrote the piece on Popcorn about her, just to say, hey, she doesn't lose easily, really, and if she goes down a set, she'll fight back. If she drops a set, she'll fight back, and that's what happened today. Because at the crunch point, she upped the aggression. She went to break down to Muchova. She struck back. She went down again. She struck back, and then she took over. That's what champions do. It's a great moment.
Just trying to relate to the football acronym. This is almost like the, can you do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke on a Tuesday? So you can do it in the flashiest matches on the earth, but can you do it when it's a real grit, determination, and you're coming up against somebody who is not giving anything back?
For sure. Yes, exactly. And there are many cold, rainy nights in Stoke on a Tuesday night. I can confirm.
I've got to shoot off now, but it's been lovely to join you for
James. Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
Everyone enjoy the final tomorrow, and I'm not just talking about Andy Murray in the Surbiton final.
Indeed.